India's education minister has resigned after weeks of nationwide protest over alleged exam paper leaks. The resignation hands a major victory to the youth-led Cockroach Janta Party, which had demanded accountability. Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, in a post on X, says he has submitted his resignation to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He added that he was stepping down to safeguard the future of students and preserve national unity. The news triggered celebrations at New Delhi's main protest site, where thousands of students have been camped since last month. The movement began after allegations of leaks in the country's major medical entrance exam, but gathered fresh momentum after police injured dozens of protesters earlier this week. Demonstrations have since spread beyond the capital to other cities across the nation.
I'm grateful for everyone who has come here in support of the Gen Z protest, because this is a new generation who has led this reform come, and I'm really happy.
बहुत खुश हूँ मैं, क्योंकि ये जो अभी एजुकेशन का हाल कर रखा है इन्होंने, this had to be done. कोई ना कोई किसी ना किसी को accountability लेनी चाहिए.
Pressure on the government had been building for days. Earlier rounds of talks failed to break the deadlock. The Cockroach Janta Party says they have been invited to another meeting with ministers today. Late last night, Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the public for their response to an earlier message and expressed hope for their continued support. Earlier this week, he also promised tougher penalties and faster court proceedings for exam paper leaked cases. Now, Ishan Garg has been watching developments for CNA and he joins us live from New Delhi. Now, Ishan, how significant has the resignation been for the Modi administration?
Well, it's significant, it's unprecedented, and it's also surprising in many ways, because it was not expected that India's education minister was going to resign. The reports that were coming out of the meetings that were being held within the government circles, it was reported that the government was considering other demands of the protesters, which included not filing any complaints against the protesters who had been at the site for several days. But this was one demand that wasn't, it looked like wasn't going to be heard. But now that has happened, and different analysts are interpreting this development in different ways. Some public policy analysts say that this could be seen as a course correction by the Modi government, which might now be looking to cut its losses, because this would be a resignation on the basis of policy implementation, not an ideological resignation per se. So this could be the government looking to calm down the concerns of the young protesters who've been on the streets. The other, of course, the supporters of the Cockroach Janta Party, as well as people from the opposition parties, are seeing this as a major victory, because for them this is a huge momentum, because there hasn't been a resignation in the Prime Minister Modi's cabinet since he's taken power. So this is in many ways unprecedented. We also are now seeing fresh reports coming out of the talks between the Cockroach Janta Party delegation and the government delegation. And reports now say that the government has agreed to not file any complaints or not prosecute any of the protesters who have been at the site for past several days. The CJP says that their top demand, which was the resignation of the education minister, that has been met.
But protesters have said they will continue with demonstrations until the education minister resigns. Now that's done, has that changed or altered the momentum of the unrest?
Well, shortly after the education minister resigned, the Cockroach Janta Party said that it's going to update its list of demands. And the key demand among them, of course, is the compensation payment of $100,000 to the families of the students whose suicide deaths have been linked to the paper leaks themselves. And that, they say, is going to be justice of some sort, of one kind, for some families. But apart from that, when we spoke to the Cockroach Janta Party spokesperson, they said that the protest is only going to end once the education minister resigns, but the movement that Cockroach Janta Party has built is going to continue, because from their position, this is about the youth trying to get their voices heard, not only about this one issue of examination fraud, but also on another issues that relate to education reforms, which is a broader question, of course. And now we're also seeing the opposition parties trying to pile on the pressure on the government, saying that they want a public apology from the Prime Minister himself, especially in relation to the crackdown by the police that happened on Monday when protesters had gathered in large numbers. The Education Minister, in his resignation, he has said that he is not tying this issue to his prestige. He says that he has taken all the steps necessary to improve the education system, including steps taken to modernize those particular medical entrance exams as well, but that his allegation is that the youth of the country are being misled, and that the protests at the Jantar Mantar, he says, should not be hijacked by quote-unquote vested interests.
Yeah, thanks for that update, Ishan. Ishan Garg reporting the story for CNA live from New Delhi. To further unpack developments, we're joined by Dr. Ronojoy Sen, live from Singapore. He's a senior research fellow at the Institute of South Asian Studies in the National University of Singapore. Dr. Sen, the government has repeatedly insisted Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan would stay. But how politically significant is his resignation here?
It is significant since, as your correspondent mentioned, this is the first time that a minister in the BJP government has resigned since the party came to power in 2014. And this is also a government that has an image of being very strong. It's led by, of course, a very popular prime minister. And for it to give in to a demand by an outfit that is hardly 2 months old, I would say is politically significant. And besides, Dharmendra Pradhan, the minister who resigned, was a senior minister and a key organization man in the BJP with deep roots in the Sangh Parivar, or what is the Hindu nationalist ecosystem. His father was a minister under Prime Minister Vajpayee. Dharmendra Pradhan himself was a member of the ABVP, the BJP Students' Wing, seemed to be one of the architects of the BJP's victory in Odisha in 2024, when the regional party, the Biju Janata Dal, was unseated. So in that sense, I would say it's politically significant.
Well, the Cockroach Janta Party has succeeded in securing its key demand. What does it tell us about the influence this youth-led movement has built in such a short time?
It's remarkable, actually, for an organization or a movement that traces its origins back to May of this year, and which really grew out of a remark by the Chief Justice of India calling sections of the youth, cockroaches and parasites. Although he retracted the statement and sort of said that he had been misquoted. But the success that has been achieved by the CJP or the Cockroach Janta Party is remarkable in many senses. One could hark back to 2011 when the anti-corruption protests led by the activist Anna Hazare, did actually manage to bring the government of the time, the Congress-led UPA, to its knees in one sense. So there are examples of that, but again, I would say this is quite rare in Indian politics.
Well, despite the resignation, several demands remain unresolved. How would you assess the state of talks between the government and protest leaders?
Yes, I think the representatives of the Congress of the CJP and two ministers representing the BJP government had a meeting just moments back. The main demand of the CJP has, of course, been met, namely the resignation of the education minister. But they also have a couple of other pending demands, like action against police forces for what the CJP says was brutality against student demonstrators. And they're also demanding a public apology from the police. So these are some of the pending demands, which I believe the government shouldn't have a problem relenting on or giving into.
Now, from your perspective, does Mr. Pradhan's resignation ease the immediate political pressure, or has this movement grown beyond a single minister and the exam paper leak scandal?
Well, the founder of the CJP, Abhijit Dipke, was on record maybe an hour or so, or a couple of hours back when the news of the resignation trickled in, saying that the movement has just begun. Now, how we interpret that is something that only the future can foretell. I think the exam leak around the medical exams of the NEET was one issue. The resignation of the health minister of the education minister was another. But there are also a cluster of other issues like the state of education in general in India, the bleak prospects of employment for literally the millions who are graduating from schools and colleges in India. So these are issues that could possibly be taken up by the CJP. But the question is, do they have the organization and the staying power to sort of go beyond, the issues at hand right now? I think we'll have to wait and see.
So what does this episode reveal about the Modi's government's handling of the crisis, particularly now that the opposition has seized on the issue?
I think the Modi government underestimated the strength of the movement. So initially, when they were holding a sit-in at the Jantar Mantar, a popular site for protests in Delhi, there were hardly any crowds. But the situation changed at the end of June when there was a hunger strike by the activist Sonam Wangchuk. And from then on, the crowd swelled, the movement acquired somewhat of a national character. And that's when I think the government realized that this is far more serious than what they had thought this to be. So in a sense, I think there was an underestimation of the CJP's strength. And what happened today, the resignation minister, was really something that could have possibly been done earlier, that might have actually diffused the protests. So in a sense, I would say this was a classic case of the government not realizing the strength of the student-led movement. Despite, of course, one I might add, we've seen a history of Gen Z-led protests in South Asia over the last few years, in Sri Lanka, in Bangladesh, and Nepal, actually resulting in large-scale changes in the politics of those countries. So that should have been at the back of the mind of the BJP government, but I think, again, they did not realize where this was eventually heading to.
Thank you very much for your insights, Dr. Rona Joy Sen, Senior Research Fellow at the Institute of South Asian Studies in NUS, joining us live from Singapore. Thank you.